Capturing animals doing interesting things at the right moment is not an easy feat. That's why many animal enthusiasts always keep their cameras and smartphones at reach. Unfortunately, that's not always practical, and that is where trail cameras come into play. Some animal enthusiasts have resorted to setting up cameras where they believe an animal will be present. And luckily for us, these cams captured some incredible animal antics. You'd expect a child would get caught sticking out their tongue in a picture. But a deer? That's definitely a new one. This playful deer spotted a trail camera and decided to stick its tongue out in defiance of whoever placed the device in its neighborhood. Can't say we blame him. Wild animals aren't always looking to attack each other for food. Take this photo for instance. You can see a large bear lifting a cub so that it can dig through the garbage bin looking for food. Is this a great example of teamwork or what? If there's one thing humans should have learned by now, it is that deer aren't always as cute as Disney movies make them out to be. A trail camera caught a bunch of deer staring at the device, and judging by the looks on their faces, it's safe to assume they're not too welcoming of the technological device. Campers are often told that if they need to store leftover food, they should tie it up high in a tree so wild animals won't be able to reach it. But this clever bear didn't bat an eye and just pulled at the rope to get a taste of some poor camper's food. While the boar was sleeping, this raccoon decided to feast. But instead of wasting his energy and time on the boar, the raccoon figured there might be food on top of its sleeping victim. The camera didn't capture how hungry this little creature was, but it sure did capture it reaching out and grabbing a few tasty snacks from above. Birds are generally small and gentle animals, but their ego and spunk can sometimes be ginormous. Take this bird who is trying to intimidate this seemingly frightened deer by spreading its massive wings. A raccoon and a deer were caught in the middle of a standoff, or rather a stare-off from the looks of it, and things got tense. But if we had to bet money on this fight, we can't help but assume that the deer would win. Just look at its menacing eyes. Who says that basketball is just for humans? This deer wouldn't mind going one-on-one with Michael Jordan or LeBron James in the basketball court. Unfortunately, it would be a very short game as this poor deer got the ball stuck in its antlers. Turkeys are pretty innocent and harmless creatures. But while a single turkey might not seem intimidating, an entire gang of turkeys can scare the living daylights out of the most fearless hunter. The trail cam doesn't show who this feeding instrument was intended for, but whoever put it there didn't think a bunch of bobcats would tear it down, as if there was no tomorrow. Oddly enough, it seems as though it's every bobcat for themselves, as they don't appear to be helping one another out. Most people know who the Grim Reaper is. He's basically death personified. This mythical character is often depicted wearing a cloak and carrying a scythe which he uses to extract souls. But did this trail camera manage to capture an actual photo of him? It's either that or a random stranger who decided to dress up and play a prank. This fox wasn't about to let some pesky human fence get in the way of it getting to its prey, so it started to dig and burrow its way through. And fortunately, thanks to the trail cam, this wild animal was caught in the act. This raccoon was caught squeezing its body between a fence and the ground. While there's no way to know what he was trying to get to, it's safe to assume that there was food on the other side of that fence. They say owls are wise and peaceful, but as you can see on this trail camera footage, they can be fearless predators too. Take this owl, who was about to sink its sharp talons on the back of this poor, unsuspecting deer. The forest can be quite the battlefield, huh? Deer are known for being peaceful and gentle creatures, but this snap proves they can also be pranksters too. The deer in the back seems to have snuck up behind his friend and given him a big old sloppy kiss for absolutely no reason. Like ostriches and other long-necked creatures, this bird doesn't scare easily. So, when it noticed that something was off, he took a menacing stance and decided that an eye-to-eye confrontation with the camera would let everyone know who's the boss around this neck of the woods. This poor bear thought he was all alone prancing around in the middle of nowhere. But then he spotted the camera and looked more like a deer caught in a headlight. Maybe the bear was looking for a place to go to the bathroom in private and he is now totally embarrassed. It's rare to see one eagle in action, let alone two. In this shot, a bald eagle and another eagle from a different species are engaging in a mid-air battle. Both creatures have their talons out, so you know they mean business. This raccoon was trying to get to the bird feeder above so him and his friends could have some food. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get to the food, but he did spray the bird seeds around so his hungry buddies could eat. Maybe this act of kindness earned it some points among its kind. Who knows? Though unlike other wild animals, rabbits are rather small and don't have a wide set of claws they can use to defend themselves. So when they perceive a threat, they look for places to hide. And this rabbit found a perfect hiding spot inside this tube in the middle of nowhere. This otter was trying to enjoy a little midnight snack, which from the looks of it is some kind of fish. But it doesn't seem to be taking too kindly to being photographed while doing so. Maybe he's camera shy, we don't blame him. These two porcupines are doing one of two things. They're either looking into each other's eyes because they've fallen hopelessly in love, or they're about to have one epic fight. Either way, we will likely never know the outcome. The object covering the right half of this photo isn't some kind of technical glitch. It's the beak of a bird who was obviously very curious about the camera. It's safe to say that the cam owner will have to spend some money on repairs after its visit. These homeowners placed some bird feed way up high so that wild animals wouldn't be able to get to it. But they underestimated these raccoons, who decided to climb on top of each other so that one of them could get to the feed. In the end, the only thing the homeowners had left was the evidence of what these raccoon rascals had done. The thing about deer is that they tend to stick their heads anywhere in order to look for food. In this case, this deer ended up with some tumbleweed stuck to their antlers. There's no way that this raccoon would be able to reach the food without a little help, so he decided to take a ride on the back of this boar. Who knew that raccoons and pigs made such great allies in the animal kingdom? And ever wondered what cats do in the middle of the night when their owners are asleep? Well, apparently they like to meet up with their significant others and have a romantic encounter under the stars. Just ask these two who are seemingly kissing like teenagers in love. Generally, animals walk on all four legs with a few rare exceptions like bears that sometimes walk on their hind legs when confronting a threat. But it turns out that some deer like to walk on two legs just like we do when they think that no one's looking. As far as these raccoons are concerned, food is like cash, and if that's the case, then the ones in this photo are rolling in it. Literally. Who knew that food could make someone this happy? It's rare to capture beautiful moments like this one where we can see a mother fox feeding her cubs. It looks like some of the siblings might have to wait their turn. This deer looks like it's in the process of running, and there's a good reason for that. Notice that thing flying in the background. That's a squirrel, and it's about to unleash a major aerial attack on Bombi over here. This hidden trail cam caught yet another flying squirrel mere moments before landing on the unsuspecting deer down below. Granted, there's no way the squirrel can eat the deer, but it can probably be extremely annoying. Is that a leopard sitting on the back of this buffalo? No, obviously these two did not defy the laws of the animal kingdom and became friends. The leopard is merely sitting in the background while the buffalo is closer to the camera. But when the camera took this photo, it created this interesting optical illusion. This cam shot of those two deer grazing in the background would have been cool enough, but it was made even more interesting by this raccoon that took center stage. It's almost as if it knew that there was a camera hidden on the trail. Wolves aren't the only ones who throw their necks back and howl at the sky. In most cases, coyotes and wolves only howl to communicate with one another or to scare off anyone looking to go after a prey that they've targeted. Looks like Easter is about to get canceled, or at the very least, it's going to get postponed. That's because there's a wild predator just a couple of feet away from that fluffy white rabbit. Deer often use their antlers for defensive purposes, but sometimes they use them to carry stuff, like this deer who has a bucket between his antlers. But whether this was done intentionally or by accidental is still unknown. There's no way to know for sure if this is the infamous and elusive Bigfoot monster, but it certainly looks a lot like him. Then again, it could just be a human in a Bigfoot costume taking a walk in the middle of the woods. Everyone's heard of the expression like a deer caught in headlights because deer tend to stand in the middle of the road looking at the headlights of approaching vehicles. But this adorable deer was attracted by the trail cam light, which led to this lovely photo. Deer have antlers to impress their mates and to scare off any competition. But sometimes deer use their antlers to defend themselves from an attack. They can easily end up in an uncomfortable situation like this one, where a deer accidentally skewered a pig decoration with its antlers. How is he going to get it off? Bipedal is a term used to identify an animal, generally a human, who walks on two legs. Now, most people assume that deer walk on four legs, but as you can see in this photo, some deer prefer to walk on two hooves. We've all heard the stories of Santa Claus and his flying reindeer, but as adults, we stopped believing in such things. But this snap might have made a few grown-ups believe in magic all over again. Of course, this deer isn't flying. The camera just happened to capture him jumping in midair. While most animals choose to crawl under the fence with their dinner, this raccoon thought it would be a good idea to climb over the fence with it. But of course, he ended up getting tangled and he's going to have to let his meal go. Coyotes always seem so fierce, but this one looks like it's in quite a bind. Here he is facing two deer who don't seem intimidated in the least by this wild animal's fangs or growl. That mountain lion is going to have a good night. Unfortunately for the boar behind those tree trunks, he should have stayed inside his cave. Ouch. So, this might just be some kid roaming the woods at night for no apparent reason. Maybe he sleepwalked out of his home. But the fact that his eyes are glowing bright makes this one spooky snap.